what's up? I think I've come up with a pretty efficient and very delicious way to make fried rice at home. The technique though is not very authentic and you probably can't call it Chinese food, but you don't need a wok to make it. It comes together in about 30 minutes and it's super flexible, so you can make it with pretty much whatever you have on hand. This is Weeknighting. To get started, we need to get all of our sauces, vegetables, and garnishes fully ready to go before we start cooking anything. I know that this looks like a lot of prep for a weeknight, but trust me, it only signifies like 15 to 20 minutes of total work. And let's just get right into the cooking here. I'm going to talk about all of the prep and the details for this stuff as we go. So to make this fried rice, I'm going to preheat my largest nonstick pan over medium-high heat. But if all you have is a wok or a large cast iron pan, feel free to use that as well. Once my pan's preheated, the first thing in is a generous glug of peanut oil. That's about 15 grams or so, but any high smoke point neutral tasting oil will also work. Once that's hot and shimmering, but definitely not smoking, I'm going to add 125 grams or roughly 6 to 7 button mushrooms that are diced. The size here is roughly a 1/2 inch or 1.5 centimeters, and I am being pretty specific about that because when it comes to stir frying, size does matter a lot. And this particular size of mushroom is going to hit that sweet spot of cooking quickly, but still having a nice texture in the final dish. As soon as these mushrooms hit that hot oil, I'm going to give them a small pinch of salt to season them up and then stir everything to combine and saute them hard for 2 to 3 minutes. The mushroom here is acting as my meaty element in this dish, but feel free to leave it out and sub in just about any other protein that can be cooked relatively quickly. I've made this same recipe with 8 ounces or 225 grams of tofu, 8 ounces of chicken thighs, and 8 ounces of shrimp. All 3 of these proteins cook pretty much in the same amount of time. For the shrimp, it's 2 to 3 minutes. The thighs are about 2 to 3 minutes, and the tofu takes a little bit longer to taste good, but that's probably about 6 to 7 minutes in total. After 2 to 3 minutes of sauteing these mushrooms over high heat, they've lost their water, and now they're starting to take on some nice color like this. From here, I'm gonna empty this pan into a medium bowl so that I continue to cook everything else for this fried rice. Once this pan is back to being fully heated, I'm going to add in another 15 grams of peanut oil, and then in goes 125 grams of broccoli and 100 grams of carrot. For the broccoli, I used just about a 1/2 of a crown and removed any butts or woody stems from the bottom and then chopped it into 1/2 inch sized pieces just like the mushrooms. Again, I want pieces that are going to be cooked but not overcooked in about 2 minutes, and that looks perfect. For the carrots, I use the product that I think is most convenient, and that's baby carrots. There's no reason to be ashamed here either. They come pre-peeled, they're super easy to cut, and they taste exactly like a carrot that I would normally have to spend time peeling. It's an easy weeknight win. But what if you don't like broccoli and carrots? That's not a big deal. You can sub in zucchini. That's something I do all the time. Or you could sub in some green beans. Just make sure that you cut them into a chunk that would be snappy and not overcooked in 2 minutes in a hot pan. Like I said at the beginning, I generally use this recipe as a way to clean out my fridge, and I really encourage you to switch it up and try some different stuff. Once these veggies are sizzling in the pan, we're going to hit them with a small pinch of salt, just like we did for the mushrooms, and then I'm going to give everything a nice toss to combine. From there, I'm going to pull a little cheat move that I like to use for vegetable cookery and lay down a layer of aluminum foil right on top of the veggies. As the carrots and broccoli saute, they put off a lot of steam, and if we can trap that steam under the foil, it will concentrate the heat, dramatically shorten the cook time, and help the vegetables from getting over caramelized, especially the carrots. After 2 to 3 minutes of sauteing under the foil, we're going to remove that tent and taste of broccoli for doneness. It should be a little bit snappy overall, definitely not raw at all, and definitely not overly soft. That tastes good. Now the veggies are going to come off the heat, they get added to the mushroom pile, and then the pan goes back onto medium-high heat. I've still got a little bit of residual oil in the pan, so I don't really need to add any more, and then I'm going to add in 2 large eggs. I've pre-scrambled these just a little bit before adding them in, but you surely don't need to do that if you're trying to make this quickly. Scrambling in the wok, I'm pretty sure, is common in most Chinese takeout places, so if that's what you want to do, go for it. As you can see, I'm stirring these eggs pretty constantly to prevent them from getting overly browned, and I'm breaking things up just a little bit so that the eggs can stay into relatively bite-sized chunks. After 30 seconds or so, these eggs are fully scrambled. It happens super fast, and now I'm going to move this over into the veggie and mushroom pile and finally start frying some rice. But first, let me thank the sponsor of this video, Future. If you're like me, you like to work out but have no formal training and really don't know how to actually exercise when you go to the gym, that's where Future comes in. Future is a new fitness app that connects you with an online personal trainer who will send you workouts, monitor your performance, and message you to keep you motivated. My trainer is Kyle, who's super qualified. He's coached professional athletes and is a powerlifting champion himself. When you sign up for Future, you get on a video call with your trainer to chat about your fitness goals, and then they they create a custom workout plan for you based on that conversation. I told Kyle I was a little bit more interested in barbells and I hate leg day and that I had 30 to 40 minutes 3 times a week to hit the gym. But if you don't belong to a gym, that's not a big deal. Your trainer will actually develop a workout plan based on whatever gear you have access to. Plus, if you don't already have one, Future will send you an Apple Watch to borrow for the whole duration of your membership. Then your trainer can use that to monitor your progress by tracking your heart rate and give you activity data while you work out. So if you want a workout plan that's built specifically for you by a trainer, click the link in my description to get your first month for just $19. That's way cheaper than most gym memberships. That's amazing. Link in the description, $19 for your first month. Thank you, Future. Now to fry this rice, the pan goes back down over medium-high heat. I'll hit that with a little bit more peanut oil, and then in goes 500 grams or just about a pound of frozen rice. That's right, frozen rice. I didn't know that was a thing either until about a year ago. It's just cooked rice, but frozen, and it is surely good enough for fried rice. Of course, regular old-fashioned stale rice also works splendidly for this recipe, but I usually don't have 500 grams of day-old rice just sitting around. I do, however, always have frozen rice in my freezer because I tend to make fried rice a lot. It should take about 30 seconds or so for that rice to thaw in the hot pan, and then another minute or so for it to actually start to fry. The goal of this phase is to get some kind of texture fried into the outside of that rice. It's almost like a paella texture, and I don't think that's authentic to fried rice, but it is awesome, and now it's a core component of my style of fried rice. After 3 to 4 minutes, this rice should be taking on a little bit of crispiness all over, and from there, I'm gonna add 25 grams of grated ginger and 3 cloves or roughly 10 grams of minced garlic. We can definitely get a little bit more labor savings out of this ginger too. When I'm just cooking off the cuff stir fries on a weeknight, I definitely do not peel my ginger, but that's only when I'm grating it on the microplane like this. And yes, this is surely not a pro level step, but I really haven't noticed any perceivable loss in quality, especially for a weeknight fried rice. For the garlic, I've just smashed and then minced 3 cloves. I decided not to grate this on the microplane, mainly because I don't want the small pulpy garlic to burn when being sauteed with the hot rice. Once the aromatics are in the pan, I'm gonna continue to fry this for another 60 to 90 seconds, stirring constantly to wake up their flavors. After about a minute, you can really see there's some nice char and crispness on the outside of this rice, and the ginger and garlic should be starting to smell super aromatic and intense. At this point, the mushrooms, veggies, and eggs are gonna get folded in, and then I'm gonna toss everything together until it's well combined. Now, to finish this off and actually make it look like fried rice in the traditional sense, I'm gonna add in what I call stir-fry sauce. That's just a combo of 30 grams of oyster sauce, and yes, that is made from oysters. It's thick and savory and a little bit sweet, but not as sweet as hoisin, which would also be a good sub if you don't have oyster. It's also got 20 grams of toasted sesame oil and 50 grams of soy sauce. The only prep here is to mix these all together and then give them a good stir so that you can thin out that oyster sauce. When the sauce hits the pan, it should start to sizzle up and reduce instantly. If the pan is too cold, it's just going to slowly simmer and everything in the pan will get overcooked. This last little burst of high heat is going to make everything nicely unified and keep things crisp. Oh yeah, and don't forget, like I did, along with the sauce, you should add in 75 grams of frozen peas. Luckily, these were already thawed out on my counter. The absolute underdog of the vegetable world and the star of this fried rice is a frozen pea. They bring sweetness and texture, and they are essential for great fried rice, in my opinion. Now, to plate this thing up, I'm going to layer in 5 to 6 big dog spoonfuls of fried rice into a low bowl. I'll mention that this batch size makes 2 very large portions, but you could probably get up to 4 portions with a double batch in a pan this big. Now, the garnishes are really where this fried rice comes to life. The first one down is going to be some chopped pickled ginger. This is the stuff from the budget sushi counter at the grocery store. It's unnaturally pink, and it's one of my favorite pantry items. It's perfect for bringing crunchy, bright acidity with a little bit of sweetness to dishes like this one. Behind that comes some chopped scallions. I went with the greens only, and I cut these as thinly as possible here to avoid any overly oniony bites. Behind that, some Sriracha mayo that I'm layering down with plenty of precision thanks to a squiz bottle, and that's just 100 grams of nice tasting mayo like Kewpie or Duke's, and 15 grams of Sriracha that I've stirred up to combine. Finally, I'm going to top it with some sesame seeds for good measure and to make things look pretty, and there we go, weeknight fried rice. I really hope you guys see this recipe more as a framework than anything else so that you too can make sauteed rice and veggies with mayonnaise on top next time you're very hungry and short on time. Let me know in the comments how you feel about this one and if it's something that you would actually make. Let's eat this thing.